Hello, 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 Facebook family. How are you tonight? This first Monday of the new year, 2020. Welcome, welcome to Bridging Through Conversations. This is Diane Spirit Love, and we're going to have an awesome um, chat tonight with one of the pastors from the Charlotte area. I knew start off on interviewing singers, pastors, musicians, authors, whichever route it go on that we're going to be doing this year. But first, I would like to do a disclaimer. This platform discusses any and all information that is known to the public and that are opinions of the host and guests. We use sources that are unconventional and conventional. Bridging through conversations is in no way to be offensive to any persons, groups, or organizations. It creates open conversations needed to close gaps in topics others may not be willing to discuss. The information is alleged to others, but are our truth to having open conversations. Okay, guys. This is truly hello, hello, hello. This is a new year that we're in, and we want to do some new things this year, and we pray that you would embark on some new things yourself this year. We always make resolutions for the new year, and sometimes we stick with it, and sometimes we don't stick with it. But mine is. Not truly a resolution or a goal, anything like that, but I'm just grateful that I made it over into 2023, and pray that everyone else is thinking, basically the same thing, that they made it over into 2023. Okay. Um, Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start this conversation with Bishop Elect Overseer Ronald Gilliam, was is the pastor of Exhort Christian Faith Baptist Church in the Charlotte area. I'm going to bring Tasha on here. I think that she's going to be here. I think that she was on. Tasha, are you going to come on? I want to make sure that she's going to be on tonight. Let me make sure. Sure, because I might be, yes, about 20 minutes. Okay, I guess I'm going to be the one that's holding this. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring Pastor Gilliam in, and Overseer Gilliam, or let me see, what do he have on there? Bishop Gilliam. So I'm going to make sure that I get these titles right. But even though if I don't get it right, he's my husband, so I might mess around and say Ronnie. Okay, but I just want you to know that the official name is Bishop. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I stay in order in here. Okay, so we're going to get hello all out there, and we want you to, before I bring them in, we want you to put in some, if you would like to ask questions. I'm going to put something out there. Hey, how are you? I'm going to put I'm going to let you know that you can put some questions out there. Please, guys, tonight, let's have some questions, because again, this is our new year. Tulip is in the car and she's crying. That's all right. She can cry. It's all right. We done heard babies cry. um, so put your questions in if you would like to ask any questions tonight, other than the ones that we're going to be asking Bishop tonight. Okay. All right. We're going to bring him in. I'm going to get him to introduce himself to our audience. Let me get some sounds off in here. Okay, and get some stuff going here. And there it is. And we're getting ready to get started here, okay? All right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh,
Bishop elect Overseer Ronald Gilliam, my husband, father of my children, and the pastor of Exhort Christian Faith Baptist Church. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When did Bishop Gilliam know he would be? Okay. we're gonna get there. Okay. Now, Tasha's in the car. She's going to be asking you some questions also. And her question is, first, we want you to introduce yourself to the Charlotte area and all other areas that's listening, because it's not Charlotte is listening to us tonight. It's others that may know you also because of what you do, with the Music Gospel Music Workshop of America and the singing that you've been doing throughout your time of being in the business of music and as pastoring. So if you don't mind introducing yourself to the audience.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bishop-elect Ronald Gilliam, and I'm excited about being a part of this wonderful broadcast tonight. And if anything I can shed light on to help out someone who may be dealing with multiple gifts, I hope I can help you out to characterize what I feel about it. But I'm the pastor of Exhort Christian Faith Baptist Church. I started the church in 2003, and we're still rolling along and giving God glory. I'm getting ready to graduate from Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary in May with my master's in worship. And the purpose of going from a master's in worship, because as people, we don't really get the gist of what worship is. That's another story, but I'm really glad to be here tonight.
Well, welcome. Tasha then already went out on the bat, and she have her grandbaby, which we know about grandbabies and crying grandbabies not getting their way and all that stuff. But she's gonna come on in a few. But she's asking, and before we get started, we all know each other. We've been knowing each other forever, Tasha and I and Bishop Gilliam. So be a songwriter. Okay, so her question on here, can you see these questions also, Bishop?
I cannot.
You can't see them. Okay.
Uh,
It says, when did you know you would be a singer? I think I'm saying, when did you know? I could put in some input on there because I remember that. But when did you know? Because of the multiple gifts, and I titled this pastors multiple gifts because a lot of pastors are more than just the gift of being a pastor, right?
right,
Some of them started out singers or either musicians or something like that, and then went into a pastorship. And I know for you that before you came into being a pastor, you were a musician. So
right.
what? So how did that begin to evolve? Either how did you begin to get into the musician part of you?
Um, when I realized that I was a singer, I love singing. I think I was maybe about 9 or 10, and me and my sister Cassandra used to sing in the living room. I would direct her to make her sing and things like that, and that's when I realized that I could sing. But the time that I realized that it could be something that can help other people in Christ was when I started singing at Pleasant Hill on the junior choir. And the first song I sang was Sweet Hour Prayer.
Oh, okay.
That's the first song I sang. I could really sing like a soprano. That was a long time ago. But that's when I really realized that, oh man, I got a gift to sing. I think I was 12.
Okay.
12.
You sung that sweet hour prayer from the hymn book. You did a version of your own sweet hour.
No, at my church at Pleasant Hill, where we grew up, after the prayer,
Mhm.
we would sing throughout a prayer, and I would sing the first verse, and the
Okay.
choir would come in. So we sung from the hymn book.
Okay.
Mhm. It's
Okay.
a hymn.
So, was there an inspiration, towards your singing? Like what inspiration a life experience unlocked it? I guess you did say that with you and Cassandra, with you and your sister doing it, or was it just something? Did you just do it, or were you inspired to do it, or it just happened?
I would say I was inspired because I like to sing. We've been singing since I was a child. We had a little group called the what they call us when we was singing in New York with my brothers. We had a little group, and so I knew we could sing. But when I got to Pleasant Hill, my inspiration was Jill Evelyn Liggett. Miss Liggett was my inspiration. I thought, Lord, I thought that woman could sing You Under the Benches, and I always wanted to do that kind of thing that she did. So Miss Liggett was my inspiration.
Yeah, I
She's my
agree with
inspiration.
you. I agree 100% on that. So was she also your biggest cheerleader? Who was the biggest cheerleader for you, or who was your biggest distraction? Biggest cheerleader, biggest distraction on within your singing part and your musician part. Because wait a minute, let me back up. Okay, your singing was in there. Where did the musician? How did the when did the being playing come into effect?
Now you saying piano? You saying as a musician?
Yeah, you was a
Because I
singer.
started playing musician when I was in fourth grade. I played violin, and then I played cello. I played for the All State Orchestra in North Carolina. So if you talk about piano, it's just piano.
No, musician as a whole, because with your
Fourth grade.
singing has like is like boom, but then
Yo,
your
fourth grade.
musician part,
Mhm.
as being you play the cello, but then
Yeah,
you what you evolved over into playing the piano,
I played violin first,
right?
and I played cello when I got in middle school. I mean, junior high school. We didn't have middle school then. And when I started playing piano, I might have been about 12 or 13. I started taking piano at Quail Hollow. And I wanted to play so bad, so I played piano at Quail Hollow as well as the cello. And I just kept playing. And I learned music, play by music also. And then my ear was really good, so I could hear stuff and play it.
Okay.
But you said who my biggest cheerleader?
Yeah, your biggest cheerleader or distraction as a combination with you being a musician. Because when you played, you sung, So as a whole, who was your biggest cheerleader or your
M-
biggest distraction?
My mother was my biggest cheerleader. And sometimes she'd be my biggest distraction too. But she was my biggest cheerleader. And she always, wherever I went and played, she would always play. But sometimes my mom didn't understand why I wasn't doing what my brothers did, like playing football and basketball. But even at the time, me growing up in that age, I always had my own mind. You couldn't make me stop doing what I loved. And that just was me. I've been very strong willed since I was a child. And
Right.
if you ask anybody in my family, they'll tell you the same thing. I've been strong willed a lot. So I made a decision what I wanted to do long time ago. And I just walked in it. Just walked in it.
And just didn't really worry about what people said about it. You just did it.
No, I think when we have a gift that God has given us, it's hard to let somebody destroy it because your focus is on, I love what I'm doing, no matter who says something about it. Because I had cousins say, well, you don't play that well. You don't play that great. I said, okay. And I kept right on going. And
Yeah.
I'll play with the best of them. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
So that's a good thing right there, because a lot of people get distracted, and that's just about some people are strong willed and they'll just keep moving. Some of them get distracted and they gotta lay back for a while and make sure that they're going into the direction that they should go in. But that's good that you didn't get distracted and you kept going. So, because I always like to quote Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe have a book out that talk about your purpose, the gifts. In other words, the gifts that you have. And he always say that all of us have multiple gifts, right? But
So,
we don't tap in to the multiple gifts that we have, or we go strong on one of the gifts, in the beginning, and then we lay low on that gift that we had and go up to the next gift, and sometimes we'll forget about it, or either we just don't go strong in it the way that we used to do. Have you found yourself doing that when it come down to like you being a pastor and being a musician and a singer? Do you find yourself sometimes laying more so over to one than the other?
um, let me see if I can answer that question. Well, like, do I play in church like I used to? No. Um, I don't think I lay low because I have a piano at home, so I'm always playing and singing. But here's the problem. Now, I won't call it my problem. I'll call it my giving people opportunities. Um, I'm always, even when we was singing, I always laid low for Ahmadin and Dennis Reed and all those guys who played. I always gave them that, that opportunity to shine because I wasn't afraid to share the gift. And I look at them now and they really prominent. But for as long as you've been knowing me, I'm not a person that kind of take over spirit. And even I'll let them play. I said, go ahead and play. But I still know my gift and all I can do. So as far as me now laying back as a pastor, I would say, okay, yeah, I do kind of lay back now because it's a lot. It's a lot to do both. But some of my mentors, like Reverend Clay Evans, Walter Hawkins, even Reverend Lee. Reverend Lee taught choir. And he loved music. Even when I was playing, Reverend Lee loved music. I remember his favorite song, God Has Smiled on Me.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of people. Let me see if I can think else that did the same thing. I said Walter Hawkins. Oh, what's his name? G.E. Patterson.
Yeah.
He was a choir director before he became a pastor. All those guys still use their influence when they sang for the choir, for the music, And I do that often at church. I'll sing, and my son would pick up. I would sing a song, and he would pick up. When he usually couldn't do that.
Yeah.
My middle son Ahmadin used to have a hard time, and I just tell him, "Dude, you need to learn to play by your daddy." And as he grew, I would sing. So I would say, "I'm gonna take that back." No, I didn't go low. I just used that gift in my service. Yeah.
And you say that again. You use the gift
In my service as a pastor. I sang before I preached every Sunday.
Right.
Every Sunday I would sing. So that's kept my gift. Give me both at the same time. I still think music is better for me.
Okay.
So that's where I did it.
Okay. Now, if you could choose your better gift, right, or your higher gift. I don't want to say better gift. I want to say the gift that if you had an opportunity to do one of the other, what gift would you choose? If you had a
Let me make
choice,
sure.
your love,
Let me make
what
sure.
would be your love? The gift that you love so much that if you had an opportunity to just do that gift, what would be that gift? Out of the gifts that you have, because you have we, like I say, we all have a multiple, gift. But out of the ones, if you could choose one and just do that, but then still, every now and then dab in, the other ones, but one that you would just, it would be the one on top.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna say it so I can make sure
Nobody
that God knows.
judging.
I'll make sure that God knows that I'm gonna do whatever He says.
Nobody's
But
judging.
the thing I love the most, and I want to do the most, would have been first. Do I have one choice? Or how many choices do I have?
If you had one choice, and I think I know what it is, but if you had one choice, what would be that gift that you would do and you would just totally just go over heels, with it? And I mean, let me say this
Okay.
first, because I know you're having a hard time. But let me say this first. It really don't matter, which one you choose, because you still have all of them, but it's just one that you just love the most, right? You do all of them, but if you had a choice and you could go somewhere with it, you would choose this one to do. Like, for
Okay.
example, go ahead.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead. And just
if
be
I had made
honest.
the choice
Be
I
honest.
really wanted to do, we wouldn't be living here. I would have
Really?
been in some kind of symphony in the orchestra playing my cello. We wouldn't be here in America. We'd probably been in England. That's what I really wanted to do all my life. I wanted to play cello in a symphony.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
me
my
too.
first choice.
Yeah. So
It would have been it's playing in the London Symphonic Orchestra. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
my first.
Yeah. because that's what a lot of times we do things because we feel like that we don't have a choice
Right.
on what you want to do, and you make that decision, and then later on you feel you start thinking, no, I could have still done,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But we don't think about that at the time, because I always think, I always wanted to be a professor, but you don't,
Mhm.
and still can be, and you still can play the cello and stuff, because
Mhm.
God didn't just give us the gifts, like to take them away. You know how sometimes people would think, if I don't use this gift, if I don't do this, then God gonna take it away. And I just
Right.
I'm not, let me pull back. I used to think that. Let me be honest. And I did
Mhm.
used to think that, but then when I really started, studying and studying the love of God, I'm going to say it like that.
Mhm.
That He's not the kind of
Mhm.
person that'll just snatch away what He's given you. He just desire. His true desire is just for you to use what He's
Correct.
given. Yeah.
Correct.
So if you had an opportunity, would you get a cello? Would you play the cello? What would you do? As Bishop
Yeah.
on his first
That's not a
year.
hard question.
Yeah.
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 I,
Yeah.
I think about it all the time because, what I was trying to think about too is family. Do you want to drag your family? But if God made a way this way, He could have made a way that way. So yeah, if I had the opportunity, if somebody said, "Get back your cello and start working on it," we want you to come and play in Europe. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, especially if my kids grown,
Yeah.
yeah, I probably would. Mhm.
Yeah. So Tasha want me to ask you to expand more on your first choice a little more. She wants you to expand a little more on it. And I'm thinking she mean why the cello? Why is there so much love with the cello and not with the singing? And not with the singing part. Because it seemed like you did more singing than you did the cello. So why would it be the cello instead of the singing?
Well, I did more singing. I did more singing after more cello, but because when I met you, I was still playing cello. But I think I'm gonna say it was even. I played cello all my life. From fourth grade to college, I was
Mhm.
playing cello. Is the point is that sometimes you feel like, okay, this is what I really want to do, and then you have to make decisions what is best. So singing to me is Tasha. Singing to me is okay. I love singing, but my true love was the cello. I love singing. I love singing. I like working with singing. It was a gift, but the cello was like my first love. The first thing I ever picked up was the violin, actually, and I liked it. So one day, my teacher asked me. We didn't have any cellos. My teacher asked me, Ron, would you like to try the cello? I said, okay, I'll try it, and I just fell in love with the song, with the sound. The orchestra to me is like comforting because in my car on the radio, I'm always listening to symphonic music. I'm not always like gospel, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't do rock and roll at all. You don't put that on. But I like symphonic stuff because it calms you down. It gives you a sense of quiet and peace.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
like it's like how you go in your room, you just want peace and quiet. You don't want your husband asking nothing. You don't want your children to bother. You just want that time. That's what the cello seems like to me.
Yeah, and
That's
I could
why.
agree. Yeah, I could agree on that, because I love classical music myself. I love that kind of music. I
Mhm.
you remember that? Oh, okay. See, I done I done went personal, because you know how I used to play it for the kids and stuff, so I can understand
Yeah.
because it is that soothing music. So okay, so when did the so why pastor? If you okay, question. This is how I went around this question. Okay, you had a choice to either go back into your cello or be that great musician and playing and making music with the choirs, making the best choirs in Charlotte, North Carolina, and all these other surrounding places. but you chose to pastor instead of going into your love of the cello or either the playing and the choirs and the singing and stuff. Why make that decision with your
Well,
first love being the cello?
let me see if I can explain it this way. We really don't have choices with God. We either do what He say, or we probably gonna reap it in the end. When I was out the pastor, you and I went to a convention for a week to get
Don't get
information
personal.
and stuff.
We can't get personal. No, just messing.
Okay.
I
Oh
just
well,
messed.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
I've been told I was going to be pastor by Reverend Lee. Again, Jim, I didn't want to do that. And right now, I want to do it because I've been called to. And, I want to please God more than what I feel. And so when God called me to pastor, I was like really fighting that thing for a long time. And I think when I decided to do it, I really had no choice because the church I was working at, I had told them I was going to leave a certain time. And I told you and everybody else the second Sunday of April. And I told the church I was planning for August. And when I went to the board meeting, they told me to let me go on the second Sunday of April. So I was like, wow, this must be God telling me I got no choice. So the way I feel about preaching, I love doing it. I love doing it, but it's not the same as what I did in the choir. And often I think about, well, you put me in this position. When am I going to see those things with the choir? But I'm going to say this. My choirs did several albums.
Yeah.
And I think the ones we did, we only released one. And we did several wonderful albums. Well, I released two albums, matter of fact. Once the Tabernacle and North Carolina Mass Choir. And when I got to the choir in at Chappelle, we released the album, we never finished it. So, I can't explain how much I like pastoring because it's done because it's an order from God. I can't say, well, I like it, I love it. I do what I'm told, and I enjoy doing it because I drive down here every week to 2.5 hours. So I say, yeah, if I could go back to do something different now, when you think about it, no, I would say pastor.
You would stick.
That don't mean I don't love the other stuff. It's just you've been called to a different thing. And so, and I feel like if God wanted me to play cello, I could do that too.
Yeah. See, that's what I was gonna say. Why?
Yeah.
Why is it why is it a struggle to have to pick one? I'm just gonna. I know I asked that question about which one would you pick, but why would it be a struggle? And all of the gifts are the ones that God gave you, and that you couldn't do them. You probably couldn't do them. Make a balance to do them all. Because you already made the balance to do the preaching and the singing music thing. That's already a balance with you basically. But why come the other one couldn't be balanced in there with that? If God,
Okay.
because gave you the gift, and it's not intended for the gifts to be buried. I remember you said this one time. This is your gift. And you should be, you should be doing it. So it's not for you to bury the gift, but it's still for you to use the gift for a reason. Even if it's not for, even if it wouldn't be for like you did with the boys, teaching them, how to do certain things. Could it not be still your gift to teach someone else with the cello? To still be able to use the gift.
We got 10 grandchildren. Okay, we can't be personal. I have 10 grandchildren. And since I'm graduating, I'll be home full time. I hope that one of them will pick up an instrument because I think as we had 3 kids, we didn't give them a choice. We kind of didn't give them a choice. We kind of gave them something to do. And as they grew up, they made a choice they wanted to continue. But sometimes we give our kids choices, and if they can make choices, they can work and pay your bills. Sometimes you have to put things in your kids' mind and say, okay, what do you think about this? Try this. It's easy to try something. And you may not love it, but you know how to do it. I think a lot of times our kids lose gifts because as parents, not in our day, but as parents in these days, they're like, what you want to do? And kids don't really function that way now. You have to say, well, try this first. I give, for example, Jade. I love Jade. She wants to be a doctor. So if we say to her, well, maybe you can't do that, that might be not be your thing, then we could really mess her up in where she want to go. So I would want her to music. Okay, music is in every curriculum. My nephew Nicholas asked me a question that really shocked me. He said, I'm getting my degree for embalming for mortuary, right? So he called me and said, Uncle Ron, he said, what does music have to do with embalming?
Yeah.
And I said, you really don't know? He said, no. I said, well, you have to play music doing this. If you have the music, you have to learn what music to play for the service, because you just can't play anything. He said, oh, I was trying to figure out what they're going to do with me embalming. Yeah. Music has to do with the whole world. Yeah. If you look around, everybody got some kind of music they like. Yeah. I don't know anybody that does not get in their car and turn on some kind of music. So I would say preaching is awesome. Preaching is awesome to me. But if I had to make a choice and it wasn't God sent, it would have been the cello. Wouldn't have been singing. I could sing, but if it wasn't God, remember what I said, if God hadn't pushed me in that direction to pastor, I probably would have played cello.
Okay. All right.
But you can do all that together, because with my gift of teaching music, when our church grows, maybe we'll get some music to play during service.
Yeah. And that's true. And that's the direction that I was going in, because, I can't remember what church it was. They had an orchestra. Is that Friendship? Sure do. Mm-hmm. Have an orchestra in there. So, is the gift to incorporate. And I think that's what Tasha's saying. It says, being a singer, songwriter, couldn't your love for the cello been incorporated with your other gifts? Yeah, that's what Tasha just asked, that same thing. Couldn't it been incorporated with the church and with the singing and all of that?
It's a scripture that says there's a time and season for everything.
Yeah.
And even though you might love something you do, it's a time for it to be promoted. For example, like, right now in our church, I would love to teach cello, just orchestra period, but it's not that time. You have to wait for your time. When you wait for your time, it don't lack. Sometimes we do things that, as a first lady, as a co-pastor, that we might have things, and we wrote a list of things that we want to do in the church, but those things haven't come to fruition because it wasn't time. So when it's time, hopefully we'll have musicians, that want to play the violin, the cello. But if we don't push that instrument in that service, people won't. If you don't got people in your church, I said, you don't have, not if you don't got. If you don't have people in your church that you're not pushing toward that era, that's just for Tasha. Like if you got a gift for writing, and you got grandchildren, and you never share with them, then we're not gonna live forever.
Yeah.
So we need to take that gift, and I think sometimes we think, well, this gift just for me, but it's not.
No.
Piano playing was just for me. I had Ahmed. I had Devon. We had Chris. All them boys play piano. Yeah. And all of them liked doing it, but they had other things that were more important. But Ahmed loved it. Yeah. So he took it up and went forward with it. He said, Daddy made me play. I don't remember making him play. I remember, saying you had to play because we didn't have nobody else, and you know how. Right. But I wanted my kids to have the gift to do those things. And I said, because, I've been on dialysis for 20 years, and all those things, if I put in my kids, they can help me when I just couldn't. But I didn't smother it. I gave it to other people. Dennis Reed. I didn't smother my gift. I gave my gifts to him and Ahmed. And when you look at them, you see they did and they godfather. Mm-hmm. You look at Dennis, you see Ron. You look at Miss Me, you see Miss Liggett. Because all the people that influenced me, I wanted to be like them. I wanted to direct like her. I wanted to teach like her. I had to be on time like her. Everything that I learned from Joe F. Wiggins, I put in my life today.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so I
And
hope
I
that
and
answers the question.
yeah.
Did that
And
answer the
I think
question?
yeah. And I think that make let's she put another one out there. And that really do make a lot of sense because I think about I guess we are gonna have to get personal. I think about how the gift do flow, right? Because I think
Hmm.
when we did our Thanksgiving, how every last one of the grandkids can sing, right?
Yeah.
Every last one of them get on the I don't know why all of them start with the piano. All of them get on the
Hmm.
piano, start playing, on the piano. Either want to learn it, but every last one of them can sing. But is that their only gift? No, we don't know. One of them might pick up the guitar. We don't know. One of them might play the drums. We don't really know what. But the gift is to continue to flow out and not to just stop at one. And I guess
Right.
that's the that I'm saying with the gift, is that you don't just stop at that one thing. And I
Right.
during my time, I've always thought about like what is the gift? What is your gift? What should we be doing? And Ahmadin said something one time that really made sense. He said, "Your gift is what you always been doing. You just don't realize it. That is your gift, but you have always." Been doing it, but then there still can be something else buried down in there that you're not even concentrating on. And then eventually
Hmm.
it's just gonna begin to like flow out of you. Like you said with you and your sister, is that y'all didn't know you could sing, but then all of a sudden you guys just started, singing. And I think that's the same way it is with the kids. I don't know if well, you know what, kids are so different now that I don't even really. I think they already know that they can sing because them chaps can sing, right? And it's not like they're scared. They just stand up flat footed and just boom, just sing. And I don't know if that's going to be the dominant gift or what, but we always, all of us have, those multiple gifts. And the thing is that God would desire, for us to use them for his benefit, right? I was on the flyer. It has a quote on there that's from Pablo Picasso, right? And it says, "Music is the divine way to tell beautiful, poetic things to the heart," right? And that's through all things, through your voice, through the music that you play, and all that stuff. And God would desire for us to use all those gifts, regardless of what other gift come up. He still would like for you to continue to use those things. And then First Corinthians 9 and 14 talk about being, spreading the word, of God. And it says, "Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel," right? And that meaning that you live what you preach, right? And when living what you preach, those things are combined in there, even with the music and with the gifts and things. You live what you preach. If you're preaching out to someone to say that you have a purpose, in life, that means that you need to live that thing also.
Yeah.
And your multiple gifts, we just got to find a way to combine those things and work them in together so they can overflow and help, each other. Anything, what you think about that?
I agree. I think, the gifts not just, God didn't give us gifts just to have them. He gave us gifts to share.
Yeah.
When I sing, I'm so nervous, and I'm nervous when I preach. People don't think I am, but every Sunday I get up. If I sing, if I preach, I'm nervous, totally shocked. Just because I know that somebody's going to be there who may be contemplating suicide, and maybe I'll sing. Um, Be not dismayed, whenever be time, God will take care of you. And so they're thinking, oh my God, really? And when you sing under the anointing, you're not just singing for Ron or just for Diane. When you sing, "There is no way I can live without you," you got to focus on the purpose of the song. And that's what I'm learning in worship. Your purpose of the song is deliverance.
Yeah.
And as I grew up singing in the church, I never thought about, okay, somebody getting delivered. When I was young, I was just singing. I could sing, I love to sing, but in the end, Have somebody gotten delivered from what you saying? Whether they tell you or not, have you sung to your potential that person heard what you said and they took it in and say, "Man, I want to live now and not die." So that's where our gifts become uh, uh, um, gratifying.
Yeah.
I love to sing. I used to tell exhortation, we ain't, and Chappelle, we're not going out to the play. We're going to battle. You may not
Yeah.
be seeing those spirits, but when you're going out to the sanctuary, you got a lot of spirits coming in.
Yeah.
And the choir's job is to break up those spirits, not for the pastor, but for the people who are out there hurting and going through trials and tribulations. You got to sing like you're never going to sing again.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. So what you're saying is true. You got to spread that thing. So when I was teaching the choirs, I taught them God through me about what the job was and what God expected as a choir, as a let me use this, what God expected as a worship leader. That doesn't mean like little teams of singers. That means a whole 80 voice choir. We are
Yeah.
worship leaders.
Right. Right. And I truly do agree. I truly do agree with that. That when you do, you know, and you know how some people used to say, okay, the choir has sung and now it's time for the word. That just
I couldn't stand, you know, I couldn't stand that.
that
That
just
makes
like
me
ticks
fall
me.
upon the bench. I can't
Yeah,
stand that.
because I be thinking, you know, all of the gifts working together, that come in with what Christians talk about with the body, how the bodies come together with the head, that all of those things have to come together to make everything work. And all of the gifts, and meaning all of the gifts that we have to come together to make the body as a whole. So we can't have one, you know, without the other. You know, so it do, you come out and you break that ground with that music. That music is soothing to the soul, and it begins to open your heart and open up you to be accepted, you know, to the
Exactly.
word, to what's gonna
Exactly.
come out, to whatever the preacher's gonna say. You know, that's what the music do, it soothe you, you know, like what David used to do to Saul, right? And he just came
Yeah.
up to soothe him, right? And made him and just humbled him, you know, down from where he was. That's what music do to it, and that's why we bring in all these different, you know, multiple gifts within our worship places and things. It's not
Mhm.
even have to be within, you know, there, because other people might not even go to church, but you know, and have all those gifts, but they there for a reason. Whoever sing, wherever you sing, and wherever you use your gift, it's for a reason, because God did it. You know, God gave it to you, and you use them
Mhm.
for His purpose, whether you know it or not. They're truly for His purpose. And think, yeah, that is right. Just like I think about how we used to sing "It Is Well," right? And
Mhm.
there will be someone out there. If you sing that before, you know, you do your ministering. There is someone out there that need to know that it is well, you know, with their soul, regardless. I pulled up the words, I'm just gonna let you know because I want to make sure I said the words right. When peace like a river attempt my way, right? When something like coming into your path, right? And you don't know how you're gonna get, you know, through this thing. You know, we want you to know that it is well with your soul. And then the pastor may come up and say, you know, something that's just gonna continue to break that ground, you know, to let you know that it is well. And that's those multiple gifts working it together to make the body, you know, to do what it needs to do within the worship place. So we
So
need to make
true.
sure that we do use, you know, all of those gifts that God has given us to make that body complete, so we can, you know, do the things that need to be done within the worship place too, you know, to help God's people, you know,
All right.
that's out there, you know, suffering and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna say this little part. I know, um, uh, Dennis Reed. I know everybody listening out there and knows something about Dennis Reed.
Yeah.
And the thing that impressed me so much about him is when he wrote songs. He wrote songs that really connected. And sometimes it was so new that somebody was like, wow, I mean, people ain't ready for this. But he wrote one song that really hit the spot. And what we all need to know as people hmm, who are gifted with gifts, being gifted from God is just not it's just not a word. You just can't use it plainly.
Right.
But this what this one say, let's prepare us for worship in this place. Remember that?
Yeah.
Let's prepare our hearts for praise in this place. And he said, let the presence of the Lord take control. Let's worship. Just sing that. And that song said a lot. I feel good in my spirit right now. That song says it all.
Yeah.
Because as gifted from God, people, no matter where you're going, no matter whether you're gonna do it in the club, they tell you when you go and sing in the club, it may not be godly, but you still gotta prepare.
Right.
You can't go into it without your stuff, or people gonna boo you off stage.
Yeah.
But why is it the same thing when we go to church? I have listened to people in the world, preparations for what they're doing. They got the big screens. They come down the stairs with their 15 women. But we take God's, what God has given us, we take it like, okay, we'll say it's Sunday. We ain't got to practice. Let's just sing. But then the song says, you need to prepare before you even go in God's house. You look back over the scriptures, Leviticus and Exodus. In Exodus, God shows us where to worship.
Yeah.
We didn't know nothing about it. He said, this is where you go worship, at the bottom of Mount Sinai. And then in Leviticus, it tells us, this is how I want worship. This is how I want you to use the gifts that I've given you. This is how I want you to use them. So when you start thinking about it, are we going in this gift that you're saying, these multiple gifts? And I think, Pastor, the reason why we are not using our gifts because we're not prepared.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Our preparation's off. So we're not going to church thinking we're, like you just said to me, well, you got a cello, you can play cello. I wasn't thinking about cello because I wasn't prepared for that.
Right.
I was thinking about singing. And then when I got to preach, I called the pastor. I said, okay, I'm going to have to put this down. You remember I stopped singing with the choir. Began my exhortation. I mean, everything, because we've been taught you need to give your best to this thing. This is what God called you to. But that's not true.
No.
That didn't come from God. It came from people who didn't know what they were talking about.
No. No, that made me think about that song you be saying, the safest place in this whole world is in the will of God. We're not in the will of God and doing what God would desire for us to do. So we're not preparing ourselves, for worship and going in and fighting the battle. That's just like with Gideon, when they as scared as Gideon was, going to war, God had to keep going back and forth with him, with his army and stuff, and letting them know you got too many people out here, and stuff, right? And that's the way it is with us. We just have too many other things that's going on, with us, instead of preparing ourselves, for the war, for the battle, for what God would desire, for us to do. And when we begin to focus on that, then we'll know. Stop letting them see my preparing out there. And so then we can get ourselves together and be able to be able to go into to our battle. And when I say battle, I don't mean like a boom, boom, boom fight. I mean, with what God would desire for us to do, fighting in this army of doing God's will with our gifts.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had to go and get my cord because my thing was going out.
Okay. Oh, I thought Tasha would. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, come on.
That's true. So, what'd you say? Tasha did what?
I was trying to bring Tasha on. She said,
"Okay,
come on." I was telling her, "Come on." Yeah, yeah, and that's true. And I have even found myself doing that. Also, if you have one thing that you're doing, then you kind of put the other thing on the bottom burner, just to get focus on this one thing, not realizing that you could do all of them. You can do all of them, together, instead of trying to lay low on something else, and building this up. Because I was thinking about that when I was doing my okay, okay, and when I was doing okay, I'm sorry. Oh, but do not see you, but do. Okay, I'm trying to bring Tasha on here. I'm sorry, but I don't see her. I'm trying to bring on, but I don't see her in the picture. But yeah,
Mhm.
but I didn't realize that you can do, you know, all of those things together until I picked up that book from from um from Miles Monroe to say, that you can make this work with all of your gifts, combine those things, balance yourself out, and work
Right.
all of the gifts, because God didn't give them to you just to for you to sit down on them. Come up some, yeah, right there. He didn't give them to
Mhm.
you just to sit
Right.
down on them. He desires for you to use all of. I see her, but I don't see her face. Let me see if I can
All
bring
those
her
songs,
on.
and we sung those songs. Don't you dare sit down on God.
Yeah, and they all mean all the same thing, meaning that
Yeah,
no, don't sit on them. Use the gift that God has given you, and
yeah,
and move forward. Even the one that He did with, and I think you did that one. The one with the one something about the train. Don't Sharice, what's that song that she sung
oh, how
about
far is heaven?
how far is heaven and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then of course, yeah, and there's no end when I see Jesus,
yeah,
but before you see Jesus, what are you going to do before you see him? What are you
yeah.
going to do? Things that he has desired for you to do. Bring the camera down some so I can see your face. Okay, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, what are you going to do before? And and even with living with, there is no way living, with God. There's no way that I can live without him, because without him I
Right,
can't do, half
right,
the things that you have designed me to do without your help, right? So all of
right.
those songs, and that's why I say, even when there she is, when the can you hear me, Tasha?
I can hear you.
Okay, we hear you too. All right, there she is. Welcome, Tasha. But
Oh my gosh, this conversation has been absolutely wonderful. I'm like sitting in the background, like Tulip is crying. I'm in the car and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up and get home because there are some more questions I have to ask Bishop. I have to ask him. And Destiny, she was driving. So when you were singing the song and when you were talking about how, exhortation and Destiny was like, yeah, Mama, I remember those rehearsals. And I was like, yeah, he was having us to sing like we wasn't gonna sing no more. I mean, it was like it was never a rehearsal. It was
Yeah.
always singing. Like we had
Hmm.
to sing like we were actually doing the concert.
yeah.
Yeah.
You never expected anything less than that.
Hmm.
Never.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just grateful for the experience. And I learned a lot about you tonight that I did not know, Bishop. I learned a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's some secrets in my life, and that
Mm.
was one of them. I love that cello, man. I did. I loved it. I
Yeah.
love playing it. It's just I did, and I didn't nobody stop me. People was like, "Why you playing cello? You men should be playing football." I said, "Well, let them play, cause you can't make me doubt who I am as a man because I play a cello."
Right.
Yeah.
You got too many. Most of me and Mozart and all those guys, they were fabulous people. But I just thought classical music was my best of all, my favorite. Because it was a gift that I had that nobody knew I had but me. And when my mother said, "You playing the violin?" I said, "Yeah, I want to play the violin." She was like, "Really?" So I said, "Yeah." So I played it. And I listen. We had 26 cellos, and I was number 10. I was 10th chair cellist out of all those like that. What you call them, Asians. It was hard to get in North Carolina Symphony, and I
Wow.
did the North Carolina Youth Symphony. I did. And I
That's
played.
amazing.
Well, wherever they went, I went was in the play. Yeah.
And you know what? It's so I believe that all of what has happened in the experience, even sing with exhortation and God opening up that door and me having the experience to be a part of a magnificent ministry. I mean, it was, and I
Yeah.
still is magnificent because even though we had been together in a long time, I believe if we was to come together, it would be like we have not been apart. I
It
truly do
does.
believe that
Yeah. Yeah.
because of
That's good.
the caliber of singers that God has blessed you
Yeah.
with, to come and just be under your leadership and your teaching. And so this was years ago, and I didn't know this about Vernine, y'all other daughter. And so God had connected me with some individuals, and they blessed me with some tickets to go to the symphony.
Yeah.
And that's something that I had never done. Me and
Right.
Vernie never ever been to a symphony. And so I can't think of his name, but there was a video, a viral, I don't know, I can remember if it was YouTube or Facebook, but it was the same violinist that was in this social media video that we went to go see that year.
Really?
Vernie was sitting on her seat, like she was like so attentive, and we was both blown away. And I could see the anointing all over him when he was playing.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was effortless for him to play this violin. And so I believe that with the connection and me not knowing your love for the cello and the violin, and so when God gave us that opportunity to go to the symphony and to find out that Vernine loves classical music
Mm-hmm.
and the cello and the violin, that just blew me away because I had never known that about her.
I
Never knew
think
that about her.
I think you call it Vernie, I call it Nene. I always thought, and I still know she is. She's the most gifted woman
Yes. Yes.
that you can even talk about. I've seen her with a book of songs this high. And I always told Nene, you gotta wait to God. When God opens the door, all your stuff. Now we sung her stuff in exhortation,
Mm-hmm.
and she wrote wonderful songs, and
Yeah.
she's got a gift like none other. And
Mhm.
and I always tell us, Nene, sometimes you got to focus on what God is sending you because a lot of things come around us as we try to write songs. The enemy always coming around, trying to throw stuff in our way, snags in our way to say, okay, they didn't really care about you, blah blah blah. And I always tell, because I love her to death. Me and Nene, we like this. And I would fuss out, you could do this, blah 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 blah. I know she got tired of me, but she would write and bring it to the choir just like effortless. Like it was like, and I can't even tell you how it was. Nee could write songs in the same setting section with me. She could write a song in 20 minutes. And it took me weeks to prepare mine. I would write a song, I said, oh, let me see. But it's a gift when people have that ingrained in them, and we just don't know. Like you said, you went to the symphony, you didn't know how much love she had for it. It gives you an opportunity to be by yourself. Even though, like I said, we can listen to music, all of us could be in the same car, but that symphony takes us to different places.
Mm-hmm.
You might hear one thing, and I might hear one thing, and I'm going to my head back on the seat, and Diane might hear one thing. She said, I said, I heard this. The aunt, she said, well, I heard, struggle. And you might say, well, I heard just peace of mind. But all that was in that, you know what I'm saying? That gift was all that was in that one gift. It's awesome to me. That's
Yeah.
why I love it so much.
You
It brings
stop
a
moving.
calm in your life. I'm about to get excited.
Okay.
It brings a calm in your life. I know we both act natural, but I feel something in my spirit. It
You
brings a
do.
calm in your life that can't nobody else do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, can't. That's why I was telling Diane, I'm sorry, Pastor. I was telling Pastor Gilliam, I said, when we go to sing, this is not about us. We used to go to ministry. I remember, I'm going to let y'all finish talking. I remember, y'all can't remember too, went to a church in Gastonia. We went to minister 7 songs. Did we even get past 2? We didn't. The anointing was so high because when y'all sang, it was like, okay, we going to battle.
Yeah.
And if we get 3 songs out, we doing good. But we're not going out there and say, oh, we cute. We can say, we're going to say, if you got the enemy in your life, this choir finna destroy everything that. And y'all would go out there and sing with conviction.
Yeah.
It wasn't no playing. Sometimes we couldn't get you out the room, especially some altos. Y'all get the praying back there, girl. I said, we gotta get them girls because they laying out the floor. We got a concert in 5 minutes. That's how it was. It was wonderful. Wonderful. So, you know, I get chills when I think about it.
Yeah.
Look, me too.
Yeah. And that's another part of it. I don't know if we talked about that or not, about the songwriting gift also, because it's not that you just a pastor, you a musician, and a singer, but you're also a songwriter, because we sung your songs also, in exhortation. And not only with exhortation, I'm getting ready to go back, but we had the North Carolina Mass Choir in Raleigh, North Carolina, and you did the songwriting with others, to do that album also, because we did an album in Raleigh with the North Carolina Mass Choir, and I thought North Carolina Mass Choir was some singing folks. Then we met exhortation, and they was some folks. And Tasha, what I was saying earlier is that it seemed, I really thought that he was going to pick being a musician and doing the choirs, right? Because I know that every choir, somebody was it? Oh, I'm the one about the Midas touch. That every choir that you touch, it seemed like that you brought them out of the from off of the respirator, and made them best choirs that they could be. Because even though New St. John is my church, that's my home church, they could sing, but when you came, it was just like you just gave us life, not only with the mass choir, but with the children's choir, and all of those choirs, and every church that we went to, it was like you just brought life to them. So and I was like I said, I was really thinking that you was gonna say that, and I knew about the cello, but I didn't know how. I knew that you did love the cello, but I just really thought that you loved the choirs because of how you always brought them back to life. All of the choirs. I mean, every place we went, you brought these choirs back to life.
Look, New Zion Baptist Choir, because showed up, you definitely brought them back to life.
Listen, I'll tell you the truth. A whole lot of that stuff, Diane would do that. Because when I was Chappelle, I was not going to teach them. I told her, I said, no, she said, Ronnie, don't do that. I said, no. I said, no, I can't do this all over again. But it was Diane's fault. Because she's the kind of, you got to go ahead, help him out. Go ahead, I said, oh my God, no, I won't do that. But I ended up doing it anyway. But, I love, I'll give you an example. When you came to Chappelle, I just threw you out there. I know I would do.
Go ahead.
It's crazy. He's going to put me on the floor. But what you did was woke up some stuff that needed to be awakened. I always knew y'all gift. I always knew your gift. And see, maybe you didn't think I did, but I always knew your gift. Because as soon as you brought to Chappelle, I had me the prison routine. It was just sucked. Open my So what I did.
Keep talking, but stop moving that phone.
Okay, but what I did. Oh, please. But what I did was I set them down, right? I said, we ain't got no praise and worship team. I said, then when you came, I was like, I want you to do praise and worship. You're just like, what? I said, go ahead and do praise and worship. And the people were never coming in the church until the choir came in the door. When you came to church and started praising worship, if you wasn't in church by 5 to 11, you wouldn't get no seat. I'm not lying. Before you came to Chappelle, the people was outside until the choir came in. They started flowing in. But once you start doing praise and worship, People came, if they come and left, they want to, they be sitting outside. But when you got a gift and you sincere with it, you're an enemy. You already enemy of the devil. He already gonna try to get you. He said, hold on a second. Is this chick in church bringing people in church now? I gotta send a lot of demons for her. That's how it works. Our gifts make room, but listen, it's not free.
Mm-hmm.
The cost is not free. Listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done it all my life. Diana told me to stop shaking the phone, but I'm gonna try to stop shaking it. All my life, I have fought the enemy because of the gift that God has given me. I have had to fight. Listen, Tasha, I had to fight all my life because the enemy knew he can get me down. So then came, what is it, dialysis. 18, 19 years dialysis. Did I stop? He couldn't
No.
stop me. Even when my wife gave me a kidney and I lost it the same year. I didn't stop. And then God said, if you be faithful on what? Little things, I'll make you rule over many. And I just got a kidney in February last year.
Mm.
Because I kept doing I kept doing the will of God. People tell me, my doctor asked me a question. Because of my gift, I'm alive today. My doctor said, you've been on dialysis. I think Diane was there. You've been on dialysis how long? And I told him, he said, people don't make dialysis 8 years. At that time, it was what, 19, Diane? 19 years then? Then, listen, because I kept going, even when the doctor told me and Diane, you got cancer in your kidney. We got to take both of your kidneys out. Wait a minute, I was talking, I don't know it's personal things, but that's the only way I can break it out. We were sitting in the room, getting ready for surgery. I said to Diane, I said, here's where the insurance papers are for the life insurance stuff. She let me say, what you talking about? I didn't want to say, Ryan, stop it. Look, because the enemy make you think, is this it for you?
Mm-hmm.
When I came out of surgery, I still try to do what God said. That's all your gift is. Your gift is to make sure no matter what you're going through, it shouldn't affect that gift. I ain't preaching, y'all, I'm just talking. But if you allow God to use your gift in your trying times, when all hell break loose, and people try to figure out how you do this, how you doing this and that, how you come back to church on Sunday, how you going to college. So I'm doing college. I got my bachelor's. I have my master's in a few months. And I was doing the church. I was doing the choir. I was doing the family. But I was not giving up. Because when you give up, that's when you die.
Mm. Ain't that the
I said,
truth?
no. I continued to go. That's a gift. And my wife wrote a book, and we done been through so much together. We was I was getting ready to go to another surgery, and she said, Ryan, I wrote a book, a poem book. I said, you did? She said, so yeah, I'm in there. They get ready to give me the stuff to go to sleep. Right? So she said, I'm gonna read them to you. I thought she had 3. She had 30 something, and she was reading them. And she's reading. My spirit just got alive, right? It just came alive. Everything she read, and she said, what order should I put them? I said, yo, it's already in order. I said, you don't need to change the order. You need to publish that book. Because everything was in it was just flowing in my spirit. I was scared too. But then she started doing the poetry. I was like, wow, I love it. I love that. And and so her book is going to make room in somebody's life because, like you said, sometimes you got more than one gift. And often we just say because of what we feeling. And the one thing I've never done, Tasha, is that my feelings interrupt what God's given me.
Mm.
I'm too scared because I got a family. I got 3 boys and 10 grandkids and a wife. And I said, all the time I said, God, just help me to endure through this stuff. I said, if you help me to endure, I'll stay there. I'll run the race because I have a family. And if God can't get my attention, he'll mess with my family. He don't care. Whatever it takes me to get back on track, this is a gift I gave you. I need you to use it. That's when my wife asked me, would you choose pastor? And I said to her, it depends on who said it, God. If God said do it, I choose pastoring. In my flesh, no, no. My flesh said, "This the worst thing you ever." I'll tell you, my flesh hates this thing called preaching.
Mm.
My flesh say, if I could run away from it, I would. But my spirit said, don't be no fool. Because when you run away from what God gave you, He'll bless somebody else to grow it.
Oh Lord.
He'll give you a gift. If you get, like my wife told me, I said, Diane, you remember when we was talking? I know it's personal. We was talking, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give it to the church and I won't call the name of somebody else. So, all of me, she said, what? She bold now. She be getting me straight now. She said, well, what? That don't make sense. If you're a bishop, you go ahead and stay what you do in the church and you let people be used with their jobs. And so if for her saying that made me understand that you just going by your flesh. My flesh just sit down somewhere. I said 75, I won't be in nobody's church preaching.
Oh, that's right.
Listen, 55, I'm gonna be in Hawaii.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, you have to follow God's house. You know, you write songs, and I've heard Cornelia let me hear some of the songs you wrote. And I said sometimes we want things so perfect. Like we go, I want to go in the studio. No, you have to go in the studio. Get 4 people to sing behind you
That's
on
right.
your website.
Mhm.
Sing behind you, just sing it. And then somebody hears, oh, y'all like that. But we so busy trying to get to the studio. I ain't got $89 an hour, but I got free internet.
That's
And we
right.
can sing it. So yeah, you got to give. All y'all got gifts. Like I don't know your brothers, but the 2 sisters I know, you and your sister, y'all gifted. You
Well,
gifted.
look, I appreciate it because one of them gifts that I didn't know I had, you seen it before I did. And I was like, I didn't know nothing about praise and worship. Nothing. I was like, what is he talking about? I'm
I
still
did
in
it.
new members class and he want me to do praise and worship.
I was like, I was too spunky for my own good. I said, okay, and I really didn't ask you, did I? I didn't ask you. I just put that what my daughter Tina told me. She did it. She called me and said, I want you to know something. I said, what's that? She said, you was hard on me. She said, you threw me in front of the church and I didn't have a truck. You said, you didn't ask me, you gotta do praise and worship. You said, what? Yep, you're part of the family now. And then she said, look at what I'm doing now. Look at what I didn't know I could do. I think a lot of people get mad at me. Because I've been told, Pastor, you need to stop telling people they go. But when God gives you a vision for somebody's life, am I supposed to sit back and say, well, I don't want you to be mad at me because I tell you what God say?
Right.
I'm good at doing that. If God showed me something in your life, I'm good at telling you.
Well,
It
I'm
ain't no
glad you
secret. People
told me
already know.
because it's like years later, you know, I would see people like out if I was like shopping or the store or something, and they would tell me, and they were like, one lady, I can't remember her name. If I seen her face, I'll know who she is, but I probably wouldn't remember her name. And she looked at me, she said, you used to go to Chappelle. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, you was the praise and worship leader. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, ooh. And she walked away. Like, ooh, she was like, ooh.
I think I
I
was the
was like,
hardest
wow.
in worship with Diane. Like she got mad at me a few times and just wouldn't do nothing. And I was hard on her because my wife can sing. And sometimes she'd be lazy and I'd fuss her out. One time I fussed out so much she was just mad at me. Didn't want to say.
Didn't I say I
And
let
it wasn't because I was mean to her. It's because I was running.
we won't let this person know?
It's all right because you know what?
Got your hush.
Bishop, let me tell you. I don't know if you've seen other lives, but she was getting excited and she was reminiscing on some songs and she belted out one of them. I said, uh-oh, she feeling. And then Quan, I don't know if you remember Quan from New Zion, but she was on our podcast last week and she started putting hymns in the comments. I said, all right, now you starting something.
Yeah. 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 Because, when you know people, that's why I say your gift is not your own.
Yeah.
And sometimes we got the gift to see. You see what I'm saying? We got the gift to see. And sometimes people don't understand it, especially in the church. They work my nerves about that because they think that all I'm supposed to do is preach, but I'm not supposed to tell the truth or I'm not supposed to see what God is doing, getting ready to do in your life. If I didn't do that, where would you be? Where would Dennis be? where would Amina be, where would Lauren be, where would Nene be if I didn't see your future? Because God gave me that vision. See, the vision, my gift is just not singing. I got a lot of gifts, but sometimes people may just suppress them because they don't understand that. And what I learned in worship in this master, look, I'm so tired of school. But what I learned in this degree, that worship does just not come in your singing.
Nope.
It comes in your attitude of worship. Because without the attitude of worship, your singing don't come across as worship.
Yeah.
I'm preaching now. I know I'm preaching.
Yeah.
And when you learn what true worship is, you'll realize it's not about your singing.
Yeah.
It's about your attitude.
Yeah.
That's
It's
right.
about your acceptance of what God is really doing in your life.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I get so mad at people who got a gift, and by you being a pastor, it's gonna be me God hold accountable. You let that your job is to call out the gift. And if you don't call it out, how do they know they got one?
Well, I declare you did it for me. Good Lord and mercy.
I do it to my wife too. She get mad, but I just say, okay, that's your gift. I'll pull out the music and say, come on down and sing. I did it 3 or 4 weeks ago. We had church service. She had her stirrups on, the stuff she went hospital. And we did a tag team preaching. She didn't know nothing about it. I was torn, couldn't talk. I had got laryngitis like 6 months. So she was there, and I pulled, them girls were preaching. I gave the mic to Diane in the back. She tore it up because I know the gift. I'm the overseer. I know the gift. And if you shouldn't be ashamed, just be what the Bible say, be ye also
Ready?
Look,
Lady Diane, Pastor Diane, she thought she was gonna be quiet. You know, she used to try to be quiet in rehearsals and not say nothing. But who knew years later she would be on social media talking to the people and blessing them? Who knew?
Nobody knew that. It used to talk to people correct and say, Diane, preacher? I said, yes. Say, you mean Diane, my Diane? That's what they said, my Diane. I said, yeah. She wouldn't say a word. All she did is Chappelle correct is sung. Sung. But when God, you know, it's not really you that's making the difference. It's the power of the Holy Spirit. And once God really come in your life and take over, you don't care about what nobody's saying.
That's
You
right.
know, when you start feeling like, okay, what you say, God, I'm gonna be persecuted for it. Okay, yeah, because that's part of your gift. Persecution is part of the gift that God gave us. And sometimes you be like, what in the world? Who is that in the scriptures? Jeremiah. Jeremiah, like, what in the world is going on? You're telling me to tell these people that Jezebel is trying to kill me, so I'm running around and hiding and going on. He said, what is going on? But see, in this gift, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, and I agree with that, 100%, because especially when you're not comfortable with yourself, and then you begin to express the things that has been suppressed in you, right? And you start doing it, you don't really know what's going to happen. So, you're in yourself instead of being, letting God, take control of it.
Yeah.
And so that's why Proverbs say, don't be trusting in yourself. Don't be trying to do it by you trusting yourself. You're going to fall off the cliff. But if you make sure that you trust God, acknowledge him and let him guide your path, then it'll be a smooth setting. Even though you're the human in you, because you're human, you're still going to be scared and all that stuff, right? But if you make that step, he'll make he'll continue to make the other steps for you, and begin to soothe your beating heart that's getting ready to come out of your chest. He'll begin to calm that thing for you and make you do it. And that's what I learned, during my years, during my 60 years, that now that God, he's in control of it, and he'll give you the strength and the courage to be able to use the gifts that he give you. And since you put me out there on the edge, I plan on doing that. I really do plan on doing more than what I used to do, because that was one thing that I wanted to do, though. I really did. You remember when I told you I wanted to sing? I wanted to be like, sing like Diana Ross, but a little better than Diana Ross. No, seriously though, I want to, because I used to could imitate all those singers, right? I just imitate them and sing up to the ceiling, right? And I said, I'm gonna be a singer and stuff. But I know God work in His time, right? We can't rush
Mhm.
God. Like that song that we used to say, you can't hurry God.
Yeah.
No, no, you
No,
got to wait.
no, you just got to wait.
And what you got to what? Trust
You
Him.
got to
Trust in
trust
him
him
and
and
give
give
him
him time.
time.
No
No
matter
matter how
how
long it
long it
takes.
takes. Yeah, we say that.
Words.
I wrote that one. You
Yeah,
know,
Yes.
yeah.
you know
So
what? And
and that's what you do. You got to wait on God, no matter how long it takes. Because I always think about Moses and what God had already imputed in him. When he came from his mother's womb, that he was going to be the one to deliver the people from out of bondage, out of Egypt, right? But look how long it took 80 years. I don't want it to take 80 years though.
40, 40, like
I'm
40 years.
40 years. I'm sorry, 40 years. I don't want to take that long. I mean, I don't want it to take a long time, 40 years after, his leaving Egypt.
And
So
then
we don't want
you gotta
that.
know that in your gift, I'm gonna say this is
Nice.
it's gonna be nice. I'm gonna say it as positive as possible.
You're right. Okay.
There are times that we say that we say, okay, well, God gonna come when He's ready. Well, how you know? How you know God didn't already tell you to go?
Mm,
We always try to say we are like God is that God don't know what He doing.
he
And what
always know what
He
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 may
doing.
not,
always do.
but He right on time. But God is always on time, whether you want Him or not. So, there are sometimes I'm talking about me now that God called me to do something. I'm like, oh no, I ain't doing that. He called me to preach a long time ago. Me and Dan should be in ministry now over 40 some years, and we've been 20 years this year. We should have been in ministry 40 years. I was like, heck no, because we got to get ordained for ministry. How was Armaden?
I think he was a baby. I mean, he was
Oh,
maybe
we was at Chappelle. We was at not Chappelle, Corinth.
no Corinth. We was at Corinth. Yeah.
Yeah, when I got my first ministry license.
Yeah. He was about.
And I was like, I ain't doing that. Then what I said, Tosh, I said, well, he made me minister over the choir. Lord, no, I did. I told you what to do, but I was so afraid that I was going to give up what I really loved, and that was music. Even now, I'm going to tell you, my flesh don't really want to be in this game. I would love to teach the choir any day than to deal with new growth in the church. Because in the choir, if you're good, you can say what you want to them. In the church, it ain't the same. And you know what told me that I listened to Reverend Carey. Okay, say Ron Gilman. He said you can tell that choir off and they'll laugh and giggle and come back this way. He said, I said what you said to the church, they put me out. and the truth is a lie. It's true.
Yeah.
It's always a problem when you preach. It's always a problem when you testify, when you edify. It's a problem.
That's a whole nother live in itself.
Oh
Goodness
It
God,
gracious.
sure is. It most
it
definitely is
Woo!
is.
alive. And I think we touched on that one time, Tasha,
Yep.
about, what comes across and stuff. We talked about that. But you're right about that, about, with the gifts, it's that's why I said, right in Proverbs, because we always, think on our time and not
Mhm.
God don't intend for us to, do it on his time and stuff.
Yeah.
But and like I say, being him, you don't. Sometimes you really don't know. You really be debating on the thing because you really don't know. You try your
Mhm.
best to walk into the gift that God has given to you, and every time, sometimes when you do it, you always think, "Oh no, no, not right now.
Mhm.
It's not right now." Maybe next year, and stuff like that, and you just get lost in it, and then it seems like years go by before you actually
Mhm.
begin to walk in the gift that God has given you. And like you say, like Jeremiah, because Jeremiah kept saying that I'm a boy, I'm just a young boy. I can't be doing this. I'm just adding some drama
I
on it.
understand what you're saying.
He
Yeah.
say, I'm young, I can't be doing this here. You sure? You sure? You know that I'm the one that you want me to do this. But then he said, that's what, you know, he said, don't worry
Listen,
about
especially when you fighting every supposed to be saint. And Jeremiah was fighting all the priests, trying to get them to get straight. When you fighting a whole group of people that say they godly, that's when it
yeah,
coming hard. Am
yeah,
I making sense?
yeah,
You think these
yeah,
people who supposed to be Christians and godly, you like, Lord, I might be up there fighting the people in the street.
yeah.
Because you fighting people that you think that know what God is doing. You know what I preached last Sunday? I'm going to shut my mouth on this after this. I preached last Sunday from the book of Daniel. You know what my topic was? Are you willing to go through this year?
Oh,
Yeah.
I said, are you ready for the lion's den? I said, are you gonna be giving in to the enemy because stuff come your way? And it was for me, because you know what? For 20 years we've been doing a church and we still ain't grown. That's why I thought God would go. So I said, now hold on, Lord. But God said, oh, in my time, I'll do what I say in my time. You have to realize, because you look at the other people starting with you, they don't build buildings. They got 800 members. And at our point, we got a church called Elevation, got maybe 40,000 members. But it's still open around the clock. They in and out. They ain't staying in and out. But when you see that stuff, like Tasha, you're right. You write beautiful songs. You look on the radio, here goes somebody got a song out there. You're like, Lord, my song sound better than that. I mean, I'm not being funny. But you're like, go on and look at Dennis. Look at Dennis stuff. And his stuff, he got an album out that should be well known.
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
then you think about the guys that tell you, we've been singing these songs for 20 years, and you think we just wrote this album. We just got this album this year. We've been singing 20 years.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. It don't come in a time that you expect it. But when it comes,
It's
you
right
gotta
on
be ready.
time. It may not
You gotta
come
be
when you
ready.
want them, but it's right on time. That's what it is.
Like
You need to
Tasha, are
bring
you
that
ready
back
for the crowd? Are you ready when God ready to put you out to praise and worship? Because when we grow, you come. I'm gonna say, ladies and gentlemen, Tasha, TC, TC knows. Come on and give us some worship. Because if nobody just will put you there, because they're afraid of your gift, you need to leave them alone. But look, I know what the Lord gonna do for Exhort. We got conferences. My wife gonna do conferences, and I'm gonna bring you to do praise and worship one night. I'm gonna say, nah, y'all better come on. TC knows gonna be there. You want worship, and I know you know how to do worship. That ain't even I just worry about where we be able to get to the other part of the service. That's a real problem. If I be sitting there saying, Lord, the people slave, we gotta just go pray up and go home.
Yeah.
So it takes something like that to grow. Oh, I said, I took the time to learn myself, to learn what God wanted me to do. Because it's a lot of times people want you to do what they say. You can't hear God for everybody else.
Right.
So you need a time to say, okay, God, speak to me. I don't heard everybody else what they say, but that ain't what God, you ain't saying that to me.
Right.
And people good at trying to block your blessings. Listen, the saints good at blocking your blessings.
Yeah.
At least that's what they say they are, saints. That's what they've been telling me all this year. They were saints.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what God is, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay. All right. Tasha probably gonna die off, but you good, Tasha. But do
okay.
you have something else you need to say before we
I love you. You know it. I knew this was going to be like awesome. This is like a part 2. Like,
yeah.
cause I believe that it would be good for you like to come back and like teach, like tell the people, okay, this is that, because your teaching style is just amazing. And if you ain't got
I
thick
give God the
skin there,
praise.
they couldn't sing on exhortation. No, thank you. You
None
need
of
to
the
go
choirs.
and just simmer some more. Okay. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that at that. I love you. I appreciate you.
Love you.
Thank you so much. That's
Thanks for
Diane,
inviting me.
Spirit Love. You are awesome. This was an awesome interview. This was an awesome conversation. I loved it.
Yeah.
Tell my baby I say, hey, how's Destiny now?
Destiny is 27 and Jeremiah is about to turn 16 and my little grandbaby is 1 year old.
Okay, I'm getting young.
Yeah.
I remember when
So,
Destiny little thing getting popped
yeah.
at choir rehearsal.
Yeah. See, we done really got personal now. Y'all, and we like this because, like I said in the beginning, we all know each other. As a matter of fact, again, Pastor Bishop Gilliam is my husband, and Tasha, we've been knowing Tasha since she was wow, you was in your
19.
No.
Because Destiny, when
19.
when this choir started, she just turned 1.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. Sure have. So, and we are going to do a part 2 on this. I really do. Since you brought, I think we need to do a part 2 on it because we need to get us a song going here, y'all. But since Tasha's getting ready to, some technical things going on with her. But the next time, guys, we're going to practice up and we're going to do some singing. But one thing that I want to say before we leave out is that I think that we all, it needs to be a coming together to make churches work. I was thinking when I was going to work the other day about how the churches used to be when we was coming up, how we all used to come together and make things work with each church. If one church was something was going on there, the other churches would come up and help. But we don't have those things
Yeah.
that happen anymore,
Yeah.
and that's why a lot of churches fail because you don't have that support. And I think that we need to start having that coming together thing again. So those are the things that I'm going to start pushing out. This year, 2023, we need to start doing a new thing with this, especially after this pandemic has gone on. A lot of churches need to be encouraged again, and I think
Yeah.
doing that encouraging, we need to combine these gifts together and beginning to make it work. Just because we have one gift and we make it dominant over the other, no, we need to begin to pull up those other gifts and combine them and to help everybody to make everybody's ministry work that's not doing what we should be doing and stuff. 'Cause we had that fifth Sunday thing where all of the churches would come together, but we're going to start at home first, and then we're going to start going out doing those things. I remember that we used to do that, those fifth Sunday services. They were
It
the
was called
best.
BTU.
Yeah,
Baptist Training Union.
Union. Yeah, Baptist Training Union. But we
Mhm.
don't do those things anymore, and we need to begin to start working together because people, we got to understand that when we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we're gonna sing the victory and know
Yeah.
that that word "all" is the major word in that song. All. So we're gonna have to learn how to all get together while we're here on this earth. Amen.
Yeah.
Combine all of our gifts, all of these multiple gifts that we have that God has given us together and make it work. Okay.
All right.
Bishop
I
Elect,
enjoyed it.
do you have any closing words that you like to give?
Just use your gifts for others, not just yourself. That's it.
That's it. Okay, then. Well, all right, guys. I thank you so very much for staying with us tonight and being with us, guys. Please share this. If you didn't get the beginning of this, go do the replay and listen to it. We had some awesome things said here tonight that would be beneficial to you in this new year that we're in, this new 2023 years where God is going to be doing some great things for us this year. If we allow Him to do those things for us, that we will begin to trust Him and not lean on our understanding, but lean on His understanding. And He most definitely will guide your path through this 2023 and beyond. And also use the gift that God has given you. And I'm talking to myself too. Use the gift that God has given you because they are benefit to somebody else. They don't belong to you. They
That's right.
belong to all of us. Okay. So
That's
begin
right.
to use the gift that God has given you and be blessed. I love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it, but love me back and stay tuned for our next week's flyer to come out. It may be this our number 2, or it may be something else. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it will be out this week, advertising and know that what we're going to be doing next Monday. Okay. Thank you. Be blessed, and be
Looking forward to it.
safe in this new year.
Night, everybody. All right.